When you think of Sun Devil football, you think of Sun Devil for life. If we get the Valley all in, the sky is the limit.
I went to Arizona State. I'm a Sun Devil, man.
I'm home.
Hello, Sun Devil fans. Brad Denny with 3TV, CBS 5, and the Speak of the Devils podcast here. Welcome back for another episode of the Speak of the Devils Sitdown series, where I bring you in-depth one-on-one conversations with key players, coaches, and other figures within Sun Devil athletics. In order to activate the Valley, the Sun Devil program will need the buy-in of fans, businesses, and the community as a whole. It will also need to get more of the top local high school talent to stay home. And one guy hoping to provide a blueprint for becoming a hometown hero is Will Shaffer. After a standout prep career at local powerhouse Saguaro, Shaffer spent 3 seasons as a reserve linebacker and special teams contributor. But with a new season and a new defensive scheme comes new opportunity, and Shaffer put together a strong showing while running with the starting defense during spring practices. He's now poised for a breakout campaign for his hometown school. On this episode, we discuss his lifelong connection to Sun Devil football, the lessons learned from last year's struggles, the power and potential of activating the Valley, the new defense, rising up to meet this opportunity, and much more. So let's get to it. Here's my conversation with Will Shaffer. All right, Will, so the off-season workouts are going on right now. How do you think things are going? What's the vibe like with you and the guys out there?
Right now, we just trying to become a more jointed team. Everybody's getting their bodies right. Everybody's getting right mentally. Going back over with the defense with the guys, I feel like we on the right track to make something happen.
Now, obviously, this is kind of an interesting offseason for you. Kyle and Merlin are out. Brand new defensive scheme. You have a big opportunity ahead. You've been running with the starters throughout spring ball. How with this opportunity now to kind of get and establish yourself in that starting lineup, has that altered, or how has that altered your impact to this offseason or your approach?
To be honest, it hasn't really changed my approach, but it's definitely changed my mindset. I feel like I have to be sharper at times because now, after seeing how Kyle, Sully, and Merlin them handle things, I feel like I need to stay to that standard that they set for us young guys coming up. So at times I feel like I could have the benefit of the doubt of getting away with some things, but now at this time, at the age I am now, I feel like I need to be that standard for the younger guys and make sure my voice is being heard on the defense in the locker room, just being able to have that confidence to step up as a leader that they were for us.
Now, looking back at spring, obviously you're running with those starters on that first team defense. When you look back at yourself from that first practice under the new defense to all the way through the spring game, those 15 sessions, what kind of strides do you feel that you made on the field with your game?
I definitely feel like I made a lot of strides, and it's definitely helped playing along with Trey Brown. He's been in this system for longer than all of us, so being able to ask him questions, and he helps us out a lot. Like he's the captain, really. Like him being able to explain stuff to us and then show us visually and on the in the film room, he's helped a lot. So making those strides from practice 1 to 15, I feel like the only way to go from here is up now. And now that we have almost about 90% of our playbook implemented, and then plus adding some other checks and calls and stuff in, I feel like all of us are coming along like in a very good way for the total understanding of this defense.
Now, overall, kind of being out there for all 15 sessions and covering the practices, one thing that really kind of jumped out to me was just the overall vibe out there was a lot different than we've seen over the last few years under the last staff. A lot of fun out there, but also very competitive as well. What was that like from a player's perspective, just having a coaching staff that kind of blended the competitive nature also with just some fun, and some cool stuff like kind of the main events?
I feel like we enjoying playing football again. I definitely had that joy again that I had when I was 6, 7 years old. And being with the guys that we've been with, knowing that what we've been through this past year, like it almost felt like it wasn't a waste, but it was definitely a waste of our seasons. It's not the team that we are, and that's not the type of players that we are. We all know that we are all capable of going out on Saturdays and performing. So having that chip on our shoulder as well, and then adding on the competitive aspect of it is just great vibes all around. And there's no hard feelings around, like, we'll go at it with each other, like offense versus defense, or even like in our own position groups, and then we'll shake each other up after, because that's just the culture that we're trying to build. Be competitive now, and then once it's off the field, we all teammates again. We all rock that maroon and gold together. So I feel like we're definitely having that competitive nature, and our coaches, they encourage it, because that's the only way that we're going to get each other better, and by competing against each other. Because on Saturday, when we line up against our opponent, they're not going to take it easy on us, and we all know that. So I feel like having that competitive nature and that joy, all that ties together, because once you have a bunch of people who are all playing for the same reason, it's very hard to be a team that's all connected like that.
Now, you're one of the returners on this team, and a lot of new faces there, not just the coaching staff, but 40-plus new guys out there, especially in spring ball. What was that like, just with being on a team and a roster out there in practices with just so many new faces?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in this day and age with the transfer portal and everything going on, it's kind of the new norm, I feel like. I'm not gonna lie. So having these guys, I feel like I remember in one of our group chats we was counting, I think there's only 5 of us left from that 2020 signing class. I think 5 or 6. So that's a crazy number, because we came in with 25, almost 30. So it's almost normal at this point, because that's just constant change. And when you learn to adapt to that change at times, it just makes it easier. But also, it's also a good thing with the new faces, new guys, new talent, that we make sure that they're all on board and what we want to accomplish, and getting them introduced to the defensive scheme, the things that we do as a team all together. So it's good. It's all good in the end, because whoever wants to be here, like, we know who wants to be here. Like, we show up in weight room every day, 6 a.m. If I look to my left, I look to my right, those are guys that are gonna be strapping up with me. So that's pretty much how it is.
How did you see the staff, kind of work to get everybody integrated? Obviously the most of the staff is new themselves, but just trying to, get everybody kind of integrated, acclimated, and working together as you guys, were prepping for spring ball, and then obviously through the practices as well.
I definitely feel like the staff has came together and made sure that we are all on the same page as well as themselves, because nobody wants to lose. That's not why they came here. That's not why that we put on that maroon and gold, because we all want to be great. So I feel like the coaches are doing a fantastic job of implementing that every day. And just one thing I love is our coaches have the same energy every day, the same attitude. You're not going to get a different coach on Monday than you do on Tuesday, because that's just not who they are. And I love that about them. There's no ups and downs. They might get a little heated here and there, but that's just the nature of the game, man. We're all grown men, so we can have these grown men conversations. So having them with their energy, and they're competitive as well, and hearing them just talk to each other, talk football, talk about life. These are all very well-rounded men that we are surrounded, and I'm just very grateful to have this staff that truly wants to make us great, and as well as have that success brought back to Tempe.
How much pride do you personally feel just being a homegrown player playing for your hometown school?
I love this university. Like, it's hard to explain, because I grew up in Tempe. That's all I know is Sun Devil football. I've been going to the games since I was 5 years old. You guys know, you've seen the pictures, and the funny thing is, when I was younger, I remember we used to watch the games on the TV, and we could hear the fireworks go off, but the TV delay, so we knew it's either scored or kicked the field goal. So I always thought that was very cool. And then this university has done a lot for me, and my only thing I could do is just give back. And I know these fans, alumni, they waiting on a successful season. And I'm not saying that we're pressured to do that, but I just know what we have in store for ourselves as well as the school, that we are capable of doing, exceeding all of our expectations and goals, because we all have our individual goals that we all want to accomplish, but as a team, it's just the sky's the limit, because you see the type of guys that we bringing out there. I just feel like, we just leave no doubt this year for sure.
What is it like seeing your new head coach and Kenny Dillingham, obviously a Sun Devil in his own right and has his own Sun Devil pedigree, but have seen him place such a strong premium on just the local community, the local ties, and also the local talent, and reestablishing those connections with the local high school football talent?
I feel like Coach Dillingham making it Arizona State again, truly Arizona State University. We haven't seen that these past couple of years, and a lot of people have mentioned that over and over, that we need to recruit Arizona hard, and I'm right there with them. I feel the same way. We have so much talent in this beautiful state, so many good kids, and then you sprinkle in those transfer portal kids, and then you have up and coming freshmen or walk-ons that come a part of the squad. It's just that's what you do in recruiting and building a team. You try to find your base, and then you add on to that. So I feel like it's doing a great job of making sure that the state is knowing that we are recruiting Arizona again, activate the Valley as everybody hears it. And I love that. I love that slogan, because that's what it should be. We should bring that fire back to ASU, making it truly Arizona State again, and just doing what we can to make sure that people really want to be at this university, not having the top guys in Arizona go to somewhere else, going to like a Texas, just other schools. Like, why leave? You know what I'm saying? This is your home. This is where you grew up at. This is all you know. Where else would you want to play at? And I feel like Coach Dillingham is doing a fantastic job making that known, that we want you here. We want these local guys, in-state guys.
Now, speaking of activating the Valley, obviously that's been the rallying cry since his introductory press conference. He and the coaching staff are doing what they can do. The schools can working to rally the community, the fan base, the local business leaders. What do you think players can do from a player's perspective to help in those efforts to activate the Valley?
I always say closed mouths don't get fed. We all need to be active in the community, as well as myself. I feel like I'm active at times, but I feel like I could do even more, because I've been in this state for my whole life, and have built so many great relationships with alumni, so many people that tell us that, we're going to come to the games because we're activated Arizona State. So it's crazy to hear that in the year 2023, that's how it should have been for the years to come. But hey, rather late than never, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like we all could just come together and just networking, and just making sure people check us out this year, because we're gonna win a lot of big games. And once I feel like we bring that winning culture back, it's gonna be jumping to Tempe.
What's really kind of jumped out to you? Obviously, as a guy who's lived in the Valley and been around this program for so many years, and played high school football here at one of the elite schools in the Valley. What's jumped out to you most about how the high school game and the high school talent has grown, in your view, over the last several years?
Oh, it's changed tremendously. Like, watching these videos of these kids going to 7-on-7 tournaments, making these plays, it's crazy. I'm thinking like these are college type of plays that these young 15, 16-year-olds are making. So the game has definitely evolved. You have so many different offenses that people are running, so many different defenses, just different type of athletes that we're seeing. And it's good to see how the game is evolving after people that played in high school, because you're not used to seeing a kid who's still going through puberty make one-handed catches on people. Like, that's just how the game is now. So I feel like watching these young kids perform and just show their talent that they're truly capable of doing, it's exciting to see what even years after what the game will do and how much it will change. So I feel like it's definitely heading in the right direction, as far as just the kid, the talent, everything, the work, the schools. There's schools up and coming that usually aren't known for their winning culture, but they're bringing in talented kids. So it's gonna be a real competitive year for all these high schools.
As one of the guys who made the choice to kind of stay home and play for the hometown university, obviously the overall talent in the Valley and across the state at the high school level has grown so much in the last 10, 15, 20 years. What do you feel the local players really want from their hometown school? What are some of the things that ASU can do to help become more attractive? Obviously other than winning, but what are some of the other things that ASU can do, and what do the local players want from ASU?
I feel like the local players want to be wanted. That's the best way I could say it, because a lot of local kids weren't recruited by Arizona State, and I could just attest to some of the guys I play with. And I even have friends now that tell me like, oh, if ASU would have recruited me, I would have came, but they're already at another school. So I feel like these kids definitely want to be shown the love from their hometown school that they could drive 15, 20 minutes to, and then their family could come see them whenever they want and play in that stadium. So I feel like that's the main thing that kids are looking for from the university. But then at the same time, they want to have to be here. You know what I'm saying? They not just, oh, I'm committed to Arizona State. No, I am signed and I am ready to play at Arizona State as well. So I feel like it's a two-way street between coaches and players. But that's definitely one of the reasons. That's definitely one of the many things I feel like these young kids want from this coaching staff. Just shown that love. You know what I'm saying?
One of the big things that I think ASU did to help, repair those relationships and get the focus back on, the hometown talent is a new member of the coaching staff, coaching tight ends, Jason Mons, obviously a guy you know very well, the leader of the Saguaro dynasty that you are part of. Now that Coach Mons is on staff, what are the Sun Devils getting in Coach Mons?
Coach Mons, that's my guy. Yeah, they're definitely getting an energetic, very smart, very talented coach who he loves the game. You can see it in his eyes every day that he comes out on the field. He's ready to coach, ready to make sure that you are ready to learn as well, because he's more than just a coach. He's a teacher. I always call him, I say, you're one of the best teachers I've had, because it was bigger than football to him. Every kid that he has had and has been in contact with, or even had the privilege to coach, has made them better. I've never seen a kid get worse from his coaching. That's just my honest opinion. It's not biased or anything. That's just the true facts, because that's the type of coach that he is. He's engaged with his players. He's engaged with the classroom, the film, anything that you want that you feel like you need to get better at. He's going to be there to answer those questions for you. And he's just that's my guy, man. So it's a blessing that he's here with us, because that's a great hire. That's one of the best hires, best coaches that you'll come around. So him being with us in that facility is always exciting seeing him, because I just know what he's capable of doing and helping this team.
Now, when you look back on that 2022 season, obviously as a team, not what anybody wanted, but when you look just kind of at your own game and what you were able to put out there on the field, what were some of the highs and some of the lows? Some of the things you're proud of and some of the things that you've identified that you wanted to work on going forward.
To be honest, the only thing I was really proud of from that season is just being able to suit up, because that's not the type of season that any of us expected to have. And as far as I can remember, that was probably the first losing season I've ever had in my life. Like, since I've been playing football, 3-9, yeah. I definitely don't want to experience that again, because that's just not the type of team that we are. And I would probably say the lows, not getting the opportunities that I was expecting to receive on the field, because not that I was promised anything, but it just felt like the work that was put in the off season, then the strides that were made just during practice and fall camp and everything. I feel like I wasn't allowed to be myself as a football player. I felt like I had to do everything perfectly, everything the way that coaches want me to do it, just to even smell the field outside of special teams. Because that special teams role, that's cool, like when you're a freshman, but when you're a redshirt sophomore, probably redshirt junior, you want to see them live bullets on the defense. So I feel like that was probably the lowest part of my season. And then as the season went on, I just kind of felt like I'm just another body on the team. Like, it didn't feel like I had a role on the team yet. So this year, I don't even know how to explain it. I'm feeling a different type of confidence. I'm feeling a different type of joy, because I know what I have in front of me. With 2 years of eligibility left, I feel like I have what it takes. Seeing that the guys that I played with or played around, I have what it takes to be able to play on Sundays. So that's not on anybody but me, because the coaches can only give you so much. But at the end of the day, you're the finished product. What have you done on the field to justify your case? So that's how I feel. That's how I feel about this upcoming season.
obviously, going through a lot of the struggles. You mentioned just kind of the personal frustrations, the team obviously not getting the job done, kind of the win-loss record, a lot of stuff outside of the players' control in terms of external stuff and the coaching change and everything. A lot of adversity thrown at you guys last season. Going through those obstacles and those difficulties, what were some of the lessons that you were able to take away from it and hopefully kind of emerge stronger going forward into the future?
One of the big lessons I would say, be ready for change at all times, because you never know. You never know what happens, especially in this business. You see coaches jumping here, doing one-and-dones at schools. You just never know who's going to be sitting in that locker room come December at the end of the season. And I feel like that was definitely one of the biggest lessons from last year, because we lost Coach Herm after game 3. Yeah. So we went through a whole rest of 9 games with a Coach Aguano, and if you'd have asked me that in June or July, I would have never even thought that was going to happen. So I feel like that's definitely one of the biggest lessons, and also just always be ready for adversity, because adversity can either make or break you. And I feel like the guys who are still here from last year's team, it's a different type of hunger. It's a different type of just anger, not really anger, but more eagerness to get to playing, because we just that's just how it is. And yeah, definitely those two were the biggest lessons from last season.
Of course, Coach Aguano put in a difficult situation, kind of trying to take over mid-season, early on in the season, and kind of get things back on track with a lot of in a very difficult situation overall. Obviously, another guy who's deeply tied to the Arizona high school scene. What did you see from Coach Aguano in terms of what he was able to do to kind of steady the ship in some rough waters, but also seeing him now return to the staff and be a part of hopefully some better days ahead?
I'm very glad that Coach Dillingham brought Coach Aguano back, because I tipped my cap to him. He was thrown in a very tough situation, basically thrown into the fire, and he didn't blink at all. He went into that job knowing not really knowing what was in front of him, but he didn't shy away from it, because that's the job that he was called upon. So I definitely love that Coach Aguano is still with us, because he's another great coach that's a teacher. He's very passionate about this game, and hearing him talk about football, talk about the players that he's coached, talked about this coaching staff, you could tell that he loves his game, loves his university. So having him still with the university was a big win for us. And then even though he's not in that head coaching role, I feel like he could do just as much or more from a position coaching job, because that's just the type of guy he is. Even outside of football, he's a loving man. He's a very family oriented guy, and he's very passionate about what he does. He comes into work, never complains, always smiling. We go through the warm-up lines. I talked to him today. We dapped each other up, gave him a hug. Like that's that known appreciation just for everybody that he's around. So I definitely tip my hat to him for being able to step into last year. It was rough, but he never complained about it. He never said, I don't want to do this anymore. He was there with us all the way to the end, all the way to a U of A game, and he's still with us now. So he's definitely a guy on this coaching staff that's gonna make an impact as well.
Now, ASU fans are going to see new improved Will Shaffer out there on the field. Also, one change of note as well: switched from number 28 to number 8. Obviously, Merlin's moved on. And it seems like Michigan has kind of the number 1 is kind of their historic number. LSU's got the DBs with number 7. I couldn't help but notice, Javen Jacobs, another SaberCat, also rocking the number 8. And is that a coincidence there, or what's the story behind the number change?
Nah, number 8, I've been wearing that since that was one of my first Pop Warner numbers that I can remember. And I worn it all the way up until high school, and that's when I switched to that 5. But being able to get it back after Merlin has gone, I feel like I'm back in myself, back in my own skin. So I love wearing it. And then we can get a tradition started with that 8, but we got to put the product on the field first, so we can get it started. And I know Javen wore that 8 in high school too. So yeah, we trying to get a little thing going.
Of course, with DJ Foster as well, So I don't know, something about SaberCats and number 8 in the maroon and gold. Something that might be. Of course,
Yeah. We could even put up the type of stats that DJ did. I feel like we'll be all right. That was an electric player. Like watching him was Taylor. He played with Taylor Kelly, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that squad right there. Oh my goodness, just ballers all around. So if we could recreate what they did, hey, I feel like we'd be in great shape.
And of course, one of the guy that you're taking the number over from, Merlin. Merlin and Kyle Soley. Obviously get stalwarts and fixtures in the lineup for a number of years for the Sun Devils, and playing next to them. What were some of the big lessons you took away from your time with those two guys?
I feel like the biggest lesson was just always handling your business. Kyle and Merlin were always about handling your business, showing up to meetings early, making sure that you have your notebook out and something to write with in the film room, making sure that you're truly honing in on what's at task, because we only have so much time. Now we look, it's already June, and it felt like when was the spring? April 15th?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see how time is flying. So that's the biggest lesson I took from them, is just making sure that you attacking everything with a purpose. And Kyle and Merlin were very, very good leaders to us. They set down the foundation for what we need to accomplish, and they were almost like big brothers to us, because they were always looking out for us. Anytime we had questions, most of the time I would go to them before I would go to Coach Claiborne, because they were just so involved with us, and those are guys that we're around at all times. So they definitely left behind a good foundation for us to build upon, because we want to be able to make them proud as well.
So it was one of the returning guys, as well as a guy who's been in the program now for a few years. Are you finding yourself kind of stepping up into that leadership role now that guys like Kyle and Merlin are gone?
Yeah, I definitely feel at times that some people look to me for what's going on, what's about to happen. But I've always been a goofy guy. I've always been a fun guy. Sometimes I feel like I'm not that rah-rah, like everybody come together type of guy, but that's not how all leaders are. I feel like leaders could be in all different shapes and forms. So any type of way that I could implement my knowledge or implement what I've seen in the game on some of these young guys, I feel like that's the way I could be a leader as well. And if anytime they need to come to somebody, I'll be there for them, because that's the type of leaders that we had in previous years. And then being here 3 years, about to be in my fourth season, I mean, I'm one of the few returners that you guys see, just even from that 2020 regime. So definitely seeing a lot of changes through this program, seeing so many people come and gone, roommates, friends, like very close friends, go hit the transfer report, go somewhere else. And being able to stick this out and stay with this university, stay dedicated to this team and my teammates, I feel like I owe it to them to be the best version of myself every day.
One of the big changes also is going to be on that defense. Gone is last year's scheme. It seemed like, talking to some guys, I believe I'll talk to you this spring as well, just, the change and being to a more aggressive defense this year has really seemed to be going over pretty well with you guys. What have you noticed are the biggest changes overall in the scheme from last year to this year? And also, what is Brian Ward asking of his linebackers?
The biggest difference is we actually being able to play football, not sitting in zone all day, letting people run for 200 plus yards. That stuff is garbage. Being able just sitting there, basically feeling helpless. That's not the type of defense that this is. And I feel like Coach Ward, he calls upon us. He calls us the quarterbacks of the defense, the linebackers, because we run that 4-2-5. It's just us two in our position. We got the fewest people on the field, so it's even more evident that we need to make sure that our voice is heard, making sure that we're running the schemes correctly, the timing's on, our alignment, assignment. Just being the linebackers of the defense, that people are going to look to us for any type of calls or anything. So he's definitely made it known that if you want to play this defense, you can't be a shy type of person, or you can't be a passive type of person, a better term, because like you said, it's aggressive defense, and we got to play fast and physical. And I feel like with the schemes and the stuff that we're doing, this is going to be exciting. A lot of good football is going to be played on the defensive side, and just a lot of fun as well, because being able to get to the quarterback, hit the quarterback, get interceptions, make TFLs. That's when you know you're playing ball.
Now, you mentioned him earlier, but Trey Brown, obviously a guy who knows this defense very well, coming over with Ward and AJ Cooper from Wazoo. What has it been like to play side by side with him with that first team defense, and just kind of how's that dynamic coming along between you two and that on field rapport?
Yeah, Trey has a big personality, and so does Coach Coop. They both kind of have that same type of humor, as well as love and passion for the game, because sitting in there and listening to them two just interact with each other, that's the type of connection that I want to be able to create with them as well, because when you have that connection with the coaches and players or teammates, that's when you know you guys are locked in. So being able to take as much as I can, soak in as much as I can from just sitting in there with them it's been a lot of good learning, a lot of teaching as well, because they know the defense the best. Them three, Coach Ward, Trey, and Coach Coop. So I look to them whenever I need help with anything. So they've been a lot of help. A lot of three great guys, like great guys. I can't emphasize that enough, because you just know that they're gonna have their back. And I want them to be known. I want them to know that I have theirs as well.
What is it like in that linebacker room? Take our listeners kind of inside, with that group of linebackers. Obviously some guys, some new faces in that room as well, but some returning guys. Not necessarily the veteran laden group like Kyle and Merlin, guys who have extensive experience, but a lot of guys that are really kind of chomping at the bit to with some big opportunity ahead.
Yeah, right now we create a lot of good depth, a lot of guys that can go, a lot of guys that are put in the game. We trust them, that they know what they're doing. And I feel like us doing that now in June instead of waiting until fall camp is going to have us all prepared, because once we go through these installs again, it's going to be like we know like the back of our hands. So being able to have a lot of great guys in that room, a lot of guys who want to be there and want to play football, that's when you know your group has grown a lot. When you have 8 guys, 9 guys, oh no, we have more now, but a lot of guys that you can look to, and that you know that they're going to go in there and make a play. That's when you know that you created a lot of depth in the group.
Now that you mentioned that you're heading into your 4th season here in Tempe, one of the veterans, so to speak, what's the biggest areas of growth that you feel that you've kind of experienced both on and off the field during your career?
On the field, just making sure my body is correct, make sure I can stay healthy, and just making sure I'm an asset to my team, because I am one of the veterans now. I hate to say it because I feel like I just came to college, but I'm about to graduate in December. So, there's no time to waste, because the clock is ticking, and it's up to us what type of team we want to be. And off the field, I don't know. I feel like I've got connected with a lot of different people, a lot of people that want the best for us, a lot of people that say that they know the potential that we have, and those are the only people I want to be around. I don't want to be around anybody that's negative, anybody that complains a lot, because that's not the type of mentality I want to carry with myself and then carry on to my teammates. Because when you have a lot of people that are positive and all have that same mentality, all have the same hunger, that's the type of people that you want to be around, and that's the type of team that I feel like we're becoming right now.
Obviously, it's the off season. You guys are hard at work, getting ready for fall camp here in July. But overall, it's also a time to kind of decompress and recharge. What are some of the things that you like to do to kind of decompress and get ready for outside of football?
Outside of football, I link up with some of my teammates on a daily basis. We just chill. We watch a lot of sporting events. We watching the NBA Finals. No, we was watching the Women's College World Series yesterday. We played a video game. We just talked. Sometimes it's good to get away from football, because you need to give yourself that mental break. And sometimes I just feel like even sitting in my room with all the lights off, I just give myself time to just mentally restart, recharge, and just being able to go to work every day, because sometimes it can be a lot, and a lot of people don't notice that, but our mental health is important as well, because some people just think that we robots, that we just show up, get dressed, go to work out, go home. Like, eat, sleep, go home, football, but it's more than that. We all human beings, and I feel like it's important to have that time. And of course, I go and visit my family as well because they right down the street. Go hang out with my brother, my sister, my mom and dad, and just chill. You know, it's good to have that downtime from here and there because that we all need it at times.
You mentioned the mental health aspect, and that's something that it seems like ASU has really kind of placed a priority on, not just in football, but across the athletics department and a lot of the resources. What have you seen from, the program in terms of just, helping to kind of keep the mental health aspect as well as the physical health aspect kind of at the forefront and overall just kind of as part of a larger scope of kind of, developing you guys as well-rounded human beings as well as football players?
I feel like it's definitely one of our main focuses because in my opinion, I feel like if your mind's right, everything's right. Because if you having those cloudy days, sometimes it's good to just step away. You don't have to be that go-to guy at all times. And I feel like sometimes I have to do everything at once, but sometimes I feel like I have to just sit back and just look what I have in front of me. And I feel like Arizona State is doing a great job across all athletics of just making sure that the mental health is taken care of because in the day and age that we live in, we feel like we need to keep everything bottled up. But no, it's okay to open up sometimes. It's okay to cry. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to show emotions because we're more than just athletes. We humans of the world. So, and I love what our coaches do because like they could tell if somebody's having an off day. We're with them all the time. So if somebody's not as energetic as they are or as upbeat, they'll come step to the side like, "Hey man, you okay?" And that's not just out of pity, but it's out of wanting to know if you're genuinely if you're genuinely okay, because if you're not okay, then that's when that needs to be taken care of. And I feel like everybody has done their part in making sure that mental health is important to ourselves, even our coaches as well. They definitely need some time to themselves mentally because it can be a lot. It's a hard job. It's a lot of hours, a lot of tasks being asked of you, and it could get overwhelming at times. So I feel like it's important for us to make sure we aren't ignoring what we are feeling or what we are thinking, and making sure that if we need help, go ask somebody, ask a teammate, ask a coach, parent, family member, anybody that we have access to.
And of course, some news that just came out pretty recently. It's been long rumor, but finally confirmed that you guys are heading up to Camp Tonizona. Going to be practicing in the Pines for a couple days here in a couple months. It's going to be the first time during your career that you'll be hitting up Camp Tonizona as a player. You looking forward to roughing it for a few days?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because this is that time that we need as teammates, because without our phones, without even outside of football, just connecting with people that we usually don't connect with, because I might not be as connected to a receiver or offensive lineman because I'm just not around them a lot. But once we go to Camp T, get these new guys caught up with the fight song and just being able to vibe with each other as well as playing football, it's gonna be a great experience for us. And we went last year for the day, but I haven't been there for camp, being able to practice football. So yeah, this would be my first time in my career.
You're one of the guys that, in terms of from when you first started out to right now, I think has had one of the bigger physical transformations. Kyle Soley's another guy that just over his years there just kind of developed physically. And obviously the work that Coach Joe does with you guys in the weight room. What are some of the big gains and things and focuses also heading up over these next couple months? Working with Coach Joe and some of the impact that he's had on the course and trajectory of your career.
Yeah, Coach Joe, he's one of them. I always tip my hat off to his work and his staff because he wants us to be the best versions of ourselves, because one of the best versions of ourselves physically, it shows on Saturdays. It shows in the product, because that's just the type of work that we put in with him as well. And he's one of those guys that's that same guy every day. He brings that energy at all times. He doesn't care what the reps are, because he knows he has a plan and he knows what we need to do in order to make those gains, make those transformations. And one of my biggest things is just I've been trying to cut that weight down, but as well as gaining muscle. And I feel like Coach Joe has done a great job of letting me know what my plan needs to be, what I need to do eating wise, and just making sure that I'm able to come into the weight room and just execute what is asked of myself as well as my teammates, because that's what it takes to be successful. You need to put in the work, because it's bigger than just putting on your cleats and going out running routes or covering somebody. But you need to be able to physically be available for 12 plus games plus a bowl game, because you want the best guys on the field at all times, and that's what it needs to take to be able to be available for the squad.
Now, when you look ahead to this fall and opening up your fourth season and this 2023 campaign with your teammates and year one under Coach Dillingham, what kind of goals and expectations have you set forth for this upcoming season?
For myself, I definitely want 100 plus tackles. That's been a goal of mine ever since I came into college. I've had that embedded in my brain, because those are the type of numbers that scouts look for, as well as what type of person are you, and what type of energy do you bring to your team, because it's more than just stats. They quiz you on a bunch of different stuff, they know stuff about you since elementary school. So I feel like that's definitely one of my goals, as well as win games, man. That's the number one thing, really, is winning games, because when you win, everybody's happy. You never have a person that's upset because you won. Like, they might not have played as much or might not have done what they want to do, but when you're winning trumps everything. So that's definitely one of the main goals. And then, as well as just growing my game as well, not being just a truly Mike backer, but as well as being versatile, being able to stop the run, being able to get in the coverage. Oh, I got to go in man, I got to guard their top tight end, or I got to being able to tackle running back out and scat in the flat, or even just being able to communicate with the DBs and the D line, all that as well, because that's what we're going to need to do in order to be successful on this defense, is a lot of communication. So that's another thing as well. And then just being able to not be afraid to be myself, because Coach Coop always tells us, just be a football player. Sometimes a play might break a rule, or a play might break an adjustment, but if you being a football player playing like yourself, I mean, that go make the play. At the end of the day, it's still the game that we've been playing since we were young, and it's football. So when it gets to a point where we all feel confident together, and then as well as myself, and being able to play with that complete confidence, that's when you know that the football team is really, really coming together.
I'd like to thank Will for taking the time to talk with me for this episode. I'd also like to thank Jeremy Hawks of ASU Media Relations. Make sure you are subscribed to Speak of the Devils on the podcast platform of your choice for more episodes featuring guests such as Jalen Conyers, Trenton Bourget, Ray Anderson, Brian Ward, Brian Carrington, Rashad Samples, DJ Foster, and many more. And also be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at bdenny29.